Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something seriously fascinating. We're unpacking a highly complex text called Zoroaster, How to Fight the Dark God of the Universe. It's this wild bridge between ancient theology and modern society. We're going to look at how this source takes cosmic spiritual battles and just blends them right into contemporary political philosophy in a way you've probably never seen before. So whether you're a political science buff, into theology, or just kind of curious about how different belief systems decode the modern world, this text offers a really unique framework.
Here's our primary source material for today. It's a book authored by Ryuho Okawa, and this specific session was recorded on January 13, 2021. The central premise here is, well, it's pretty grand. It frames our day-to-day earthly political struggles not just as, human conflicts, but as actual symptoms of a massive, universe-wide conflict between the forces of light and dark. It literally takes the headlines we see every single day and drops them right into the middle of a cosmic war.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap. We'll start with the cosmic spiritual battle, move into invoking Zoroaster's spirit, examine democracy, specifically freedom versus equality, then we'll discuss exploiting result equality, and finally wrap up with Zoroaster's true spiritual lineage.
All right, Section 1, the cosmic spiritual battle.
To really grasp anything else in this text, we've got to understand the foundational lens the author is using. And that brings us to dualism. Basically, dualism is this philosophical or religious doctrine that the universe is fundamentally split by two totally opposed powers. Think good versus evil or light versus dark. But here's the kicker. The author asserts that this dualistic struggle isn't just some ancient mythology or abstract philosophy. According to the text, this is an active, ongoing cosmic war happening right now, and it's actively influencing human history and global politics. To unpack this cosmic war, the text reaches way back into history, specifically to Zoroaster. He was an ancient Persian prophet who lived around the 8th century BC. He's largely considered the original proponent of this whole dualistic paradigm. In his teachings, the universe is essentially a battleground between Ahura Mazda, the god of light, and Ahriman, the force of darkness. So the author invokes Zoroaster to help decode the modern world using this ancient binary lens.
Moving right along to Section 2, Invoking Zoroaster's Spirit. This brings us to the, highly unconventional methodology of the book. The whole text is formatted as a spiritual message, claiming to channel the spirit of Zoroaster himself to uncover these hidden forces. And this channeled message puts forward this idea that human flaws and dark intentions aren't just isolated psychological hiccups. Instead, they act like a beacon. The text says, when one has evil intentions, there is something that comes from space in a corresponding manner. It leads to the darkness of the Ahriman system. So basically, when humans harbor wicked thoughts, they literally attract corresponding dark cosmic forces from space. It's framed as a symbiotic relationship between human frailty and cosmic intervention.
Next up, Section 3, Democracy, Freedom versus Equality. Now, you might be wondering, how do these grand cosmic theories actually trickle down to earthly political systems? Like, how does a war between light and dark show up in modern government? Well, according to the text, the main battleground is democracy itself. The argument here is that over the last 200 to 250 years, the whole concept of democracy is fractured into two totally opposed ideological camps. On one side, you've got a democracy driven by the pursuit of freedom, which the book defines as providing motive and equal chances or opportunities, kind of like the original ideals of the American Revolution. But on the flip side, you have a democracy driven by the demand for equality, and very specifically, result equality or equal outcomes. The book uses this split to map that cosmic dualism right onto our political reality. It's suggesting these aren't just differing policies, but fundamentally opposed spiritual trajectories.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, Exploiting Result Equality. This is where Chapter 1 issues its central flashing red light warning. It maps out this dangerous pipeline showing how dark forces actively exploit the concept of equality to steer democracy straight into totalitarianism. It goes like this. It starts with a public demand for absolute result equality. The idea that everyone must end up in the exact same position, regardless of effort or chance. But to achieve that impossible standard, you need radical state intervention. That intervention inevitably leads to oppression, exploitation, and even mass casualties as the state tries to force compliance. And finally, the whole thing culminates in total totalitarianism. The text essentially argues that dark cosmic forces use the utopian promise of equality as a Trojan horse to establish authoritarian control right here on Earth. The text actually distills this entire pipeline into one stark warning. Equality that has been brainwashed is dangerous. By mapping out the book's claims, we can see the author believes dark cosmic entities specifically exploit human idealism. They take a concept as universally appealing and noble as equality, twist it through brainwashing, and use it to steer democratic nations toward total control. It really is a fascinating look at how political extremism can be interpreted through a purely spiritual lens.
Let's move to our final part, Section 5, Zoroaster's True Spiritual Lineage.
Chapter 1 culminates by attempting to reveal the ultimate truth behind Zoroaster's spiritual lineage. In the channel dialogue, a really pivotal question is posed to Zoroaster. They ask, who exactly was the god of light, Ahura Mazda, that you worshipped thousands of years ago? And this leads to a massive revelation, effectively attempting to unify multiple global theologies into one single cohesive cosmic structure.
Here's how the book synthesizes that big revelation. The entity known as Ahura Mazda in ancient Persia is revealed by the channeled spirit to actually be Elohim, the creator god recognized across the entire Middle East and in Judeo-Christian traditions. But wait, there's more. The text also claims that Elohim exists as a part of a single, supreme, overarching spiritual entity known in the author's theology as El Kantara. By doing this, the book neatly ties the ancient Persian dualistic battle, modern political struggles, and global religions all together under one massive, unified spiritual umbrella.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today, moving all the way from ancient Persian prophets to modern totalitarianism. It is a highly specific, very elaborate worldview for sure, but whether you view this text as literal spiritual truth or just as a fascinating piece of modern philosophical literature, it definitely leaves us with a compelling framework to ponder. If our earthly political movements are indeed influenced by a hidden cosmic war between light and dark, how does that change the way we evaluate the modern push for absolute equality? Does it make us look a little closer at the motives behind our political structures? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the source material. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.